Hi, I'm Mike Manjos. Welcome to this week's Market Wrap. I'm back in Philly. Giants lost on Monday this week instead of Sunday, so it was a new and exciting week. Today is election day. Hopefully everybody got a chance to vote. Hopefully we can get this settled quickly and we can all get back to some normalcy. Now, 3 watches came in this week that I absolutely love. The first one we're going to talk about is an IWC. I'm a big fan of IWC, especially just some of the classic pieces, and this one is a true classic with a twist. It's the Big Pilot. Everybody knows the Big Pilot. It's just huge, big power reserve, onion crown, awesome piece. But this one is the Ali edition. So it's got a great red touch of the dial, red under on the strap. Just an amazing watch. I was always a huge Ali fan. It's a limited edition of 250 pieces. Just a great, kind of loud, but really cool IWC. Now the second piece that came across my desk is a really unusual watch, and it's an H. Moser. We're really starting to get into Moser. This particular one is an Endeavour Flying Hours. It reminds me of a Star Wheel. Audemars did that back 20, 30 years ago. It has these rotating discs to show the time. Just a real unusual way of displaying the time. Amazing green dial. Just a very cool, limited to 100 piece, something I love having in the collection. And the last piece is one that's near and dear to my heart, of course, a Lange. And it's the Grand Lange one Lumen. So the Lumen is a luminous, see-through dial. It glows like crazy. Just a really cool technical achievement. Still a classic-looking Lange, but just amazing piece, 200-piece limited. Something we don't see very often. Collectors tend to hang on to them, so great to have that one in the collection as well. So the market seems to be very steady. It's finding its balance, especially with Rolex. The prices shot up. A lot of the sport watches, the Kermits, the subs, they're now come down a little bit, but they're trading at levels, which is what we were waiting for. When new pieces come out, they tend to shoot up really high, and everyone kind of waits to see where it's going to settle. Now I feel like we've hit an area that's settled. We're buying and selling them on a regular basis, and I think that's a great thing. Hopefully it just stabilizes and stays at this level. The OP41s, the new introduction with all the cool colors, has taken off. They are super strong. We're only getting a couple coming through. Prices seem to even be escalating a little bit. I think it's been more successful than anybody imagined. When you see them on the wrist, they are really cool pieces. I think it's going to continue to be popular. And the other thing we're seeing a lot of is the Pepsis seem to be gaining strength. Now, the Pepsis came out a couple years ago. I thought they would kind of settle down and back down with all these new introductions, but it's coming to do just the opposite. Keeps escalating. Hopefully it stabilizes at this point. Now we are also following the situation in Switzerland a lot. We have an office there, which is great, but the COVID situation in Switzerland has gotten considerably worse. They just closed restaurants and bars last night, and we're afraid they might go back into shutdown mode. Now obviously if they do shut down again, they had a really hard shutdown before and we lost a lot of the factories. So this is a situation we're going to watch closely. If Geneva does shut down the canton, it's very easy that Patek and Rolex could go into another month-long shutdown. Obviously, that would dry up goods coming to the market on the new side, which causes demand on the pre-owned. So it's a situation we're following closely. I talk to my Swiss office almost every day, and they're seeing what's going on there, but hopefully they can stay safe and get this back under control. Now, we just finished up October. It was extremely strong, and Journe continues to be our strongest brand. We're starting to see growth not only in dollars, because the prices are escalating, but also in units. More people are understanding the brand. We're also seeing the brand start gain traction in Asia. Now for years, Journe, I'm going to say, was basically mostly US collectors, but now we're seeing the market in Europe and especially the market in Asia is really taking off. And they're venturing off, and Journe seems to be the new landing spot. It's obviously driven up the market. Hopefully this will continue and Journe will gain more strength. It's a brand we love. The scarcity is a great thing, and I expect the prices to stay at a very high level. We also had our best Lange month on the history of the company. Now we've made a big commitment to Lange. I'm the biggest fan of Lange, I think, as all of you know by now. We're starting to see prices of datagraphs creep up. There's been a couple of great stories done on the history of the datograph. Not just by us, but a lot of the other collectors are starting to appreciate the value of the watch. I think it was a little undervalued for a while. It's definitely creeping up. You're seeing less and less on the market. It's going to be interesting this weekend. We're going to follow the Phillips auction. I know we spoke about last week. The retrospective, I think, is amazing. But they have a number of Langes in there and a couple of very special ones. So we're going to follow the anniversary. We're going to really follow the yellow jacket because I think this could set a new benchmark for Lange. There has been very few times when a Lange has really gone off the charts in pricing or well above estimates. I think this could be one of those pieces. They only made 30. It's an iconic piece. I think the timing's right for a big result on that. Now, the last piece I'm going to talk about today is I do have a little beef with the auctions. Now, I've followed auctions for years, but if you start getting into the details, Phillips just raised their premiums from 25 to 26%. Now, not only did they do that, but they used to lower the premium once you got above 400,000. Now they raised that threshold to 600,000. Now, it don't only sound like a lot, but to me, if you're buying a $500,000 watch, you're looking at another $15,000 to $20,000 in commissions. I learned this the hard way a few weeks ago with Sotheby's. They did the same thing. They're charging a 1% overhead premium for COVID. I think this is a bad move for the auction houses. Even in today's world, there's so much more liquidity, there's so much more trading, there's so many more companies who are doing this and are honestly working at much lesser margins than the historic margins that the auction houses had to have. I think they're going to have to rethink that. I think some people are going to get a little frustrated. I really do think an extra 1% in COVID times is ridiculous. And the last thing we're going to talk about is what we are buying. So today I want to talk about the 1815, and specifically the up-down, and even more specifically, they made an edition called the Walter Lange edition. It was one of the few Langes that was made specifically for the US market. They did 50 pieces in yellow, rose, and white. It's got a cool hinge back with engraving on the inside, a tribute to Walter Lange. It's one of those pieces that we don't see a lot of, but I'm always on the lookout for. The other piece I'm always looking for is the Audemars Star Wheel. Again, when we look at this new Moser, it's a take on the Star Wheel, but they're starting to get more attention on the original Star Wheels. There's one coming up in the auction this weekend. I'll be watching that closely. And the last piece is Patek's Calatrava 5119s. Now, who would have thought 5119s would ever be in a shortage, the most classic Patek, but they're just not being made anymore. The traditional Pateks, especially on the lower end, are getting harder and harder to find. So it's always something we're taking a look for.